Hello. I was just thinking about um, how wives could help their husbands who are into fantasy sports. I play a lot of fantasy football, and this is something I've witnessed a lot. They do not support their man during the fantasy football season. And I'm sure I don't do baseball, basketball, or hockey, but I'm sure it's the same with every sport. They just roll their eyes and they kind of make the sigh like, oh, how childish, or they'll complain about it, or they'll barely deal with it, but they don't understand that's a very important time for their man. See, us men are built to compete. We have different ways of competing, with sports or on the job, and we need to compete. That's part of being a man. And so as you get older, you can't compete as much in sports because our bodies can't take it. We don't recover the way we used to. We can't take the hit the way we used to. I mean, if we get into a game of softball, that could put us down for a week. It's just part of, your body breaks down. You need a little more WD-40 and baling wire to keep going. So to take care of that need to compete, and what comes with competition is social activities and camaraderie, things that guys enjoy. We get into a fantasy league. If it's football, get into some sort of fantasy sports league. So the women need to understand we need it. So if they really want to make sure that their man is emotionally healthy, they will support him. For example, when they are picking their players during the draft, they should be there with him, supporting him all the way. If he gets upset because he's not getting the players he wants, they need to calm him down and console him, remind him that there's other options that he could do, trades, free agency, waivers, it doesn't matter. Or bring him something to drink, or bring him a sandwich, just something to help his emotional well-being during that draft. It's very important. And then while this fantasy season is going on, they should help their husbands. Like, for example, when you're working, you can't always stay tuned to what's going on with the sports world. And you might miss an important roster move. Somebody might get injured, somebody might get traded, somebody might get benched. And I'm sure there are millions of guys out there who came home some evening and found out they missed out on a roster move because they were working. Well, the wife should have ESPN on all the time. That way, if she hears something that's an important roster move, she could contact her man right away so he can make that move. And then when the game's going on, if things aren't going good, she needs to console him, remind him there's still hope. You got 2 more players left. They could have a monster game. Or if he loses and his self-esteem is crashed, she needs to say, you're still special. You're still brilliant. It's not your fault that this injury happened, or that this unknown player had the best game of his career. You got to remind him he's still brilliant, make him feel special. And finally, if he wins the championship trophy, instead of making him put it in a back room somewhere, she should display it in the front room where everybody could see it. Make it the centerpiece of the house. So I hope my advice is heeded, and I'm sure it'll make for a lot better relationships.